Every weekend, I look forward to getting out there. It's a freedom like no other. It's part of who I am. If you ride, you know what I mean. That's why I insure with Shannons. They get it. They share our passion and give us the features riders want, like limited use cover and multi-vehicle discounts. Shannons insure all types of road bikes, not just classics. Whatever you ride, ride with Shannons.
Call 134646 for a quote.
Rare Spares has over 50,000 product lines and releases over 500 new products every year. Your local Rare Spares distributor has what you need when you need it. And as the only restoration company officially backed by Holden and Ford, we take our part in your project very seriously. Rare Spares, more than just a part in your project.
Good evening, sim racing fans. Welcome once again to SRWtv. Tonight we jump back into the world of open wheelers for the second round of Season 4 of the Shannons Formula 3 Nationals. With the fallout and chaos of last week's sprint round still in the air, we head to the roller coaster that is Road Atlanta for a 1-hour endurance race this week. It's Cowy, your average sim racer, here together with Hamish Munro, who will be sharing the comms duties as well as looking after tonight's action once again. Well, round one was a cracker, buddy, at a circuit that tested the drivers, and I know one that you love. Tonight, it's an hour on the roller coaster. How do you think they're going to go this time?
Well, mate, I called this track the Pork Chop on Friday night for the IMSA series, and I think these cars right now are almost going to be like the fat on the meat. It's going to be some absolutely juicy action coming our way here tonight around what I think is actually one of the best sports car circuits in the US, Road Atlanta. I mean, obviously we had the official Petit Le Mans last weekend for iRacing, with the real-life Petit Le Mans coming up later this month as well. I think these F3 cars are going to be really, really well suited to this circuit, being that they're high downforce, high speed, and I think we're going to see some absolutely cracking battles happening throughout this race.
Mate, I'm looking forward to it. This is a track that is a bit of a favourite of mine. I mean, it's a fun track in the V8 supercar when you come flying over the hill and trying to go around through that last corner across the start-finish line. I'm sure these things have got a lot more grip, so I reckon we might see some airtime as some of the guys come flying over the hill there.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's going to be very, very interesting. It's also going to be interesting to see how drivers cope with defending or going for overtakes into the Formula D section at the back, at the end of the back straight, that sort of little left-right chicane. Then you can kind of see the driveway, almost like a U-turn driveway off to the right-hand side of track. That's where we see a lot of sliding happening in Formula Drift. Hopefully you don't see it, though, in Formula 3s tonight.
Mate, that first sector, what do you got? You've got a blind turn in, and then you've got a sweeping section. There's an area, again, I'm interested to see how these guys take some of these lines, because, you know, a supercar, you tend to eat curbs. An F3, the curbs eat you. So, I'm looking forward to this, buddy, and see how hard these guys can push around here.
Well, I think it's also going to be interesting to see, because it's basically a one-line run through the first sector. Those first 5 turns, realistically, you don't want to be going too wide, especially turn 1. We've seen it in the past. Drivers try to go too wide through turn 1, and one of them ends up in the grass, or both of them end up in the grass. It is literally, if you're coming up to turn 1, unless you can get the pass made in the braking zone before you actually enter the corner, you're better off just backing out of it and getting the hell out of there. One of the corners we're going to have to keep an eye on tonight as well, Cowy, is turn 5. We saw how much carnage that brought Friday night, being when the drivers decided to take too much curb on that right-hand side, coming onto the sort of mini straight up towards the end of the bone of the pork chop. They need to be careful of that, because we saw it will unsettle the car. With these being rear engine, well, a lot of the mid-engined and rear-engined GT3s on Friday night, they would get unsettled because of the bumps on the curvature on the right-hand side. It would then spit them across the track into the wall on the left. And I think we could see a similar situation with these F3s. If you think back to Hungaroring, it'll be very, very similar to their kind of, you know, when you come up, I think it's turn 5 and 6 there as well, you know, where they kind of come up the hill and then over the little crest before the really long right-hander.
It's going to be one of those sort of places, buddy, that, like, not only is it a tight technical track, but as you said, it's got a couple of those straights and those sort of, you know, those acceleration zones straight out of the corner that can be a bit tricky. So it's I'm hoping it's going to create quite a bit of action. You can see already here in the qualifying, the guys, end of practice here, you know, practicing their draft. That toe down that back straight, I think you're going to see that come into its own in this qualifying session coming up as well, buddy. Maybe a few of the teams will be working together on that, because that's going to be worth several tenths for sure.
Oh, I 100% agree with you on that one, mate. And I think it's also going to be important that these drivers know where the best overtaking opportunities are. End of that straight is a great overtaking opportunity. At the double right-hander, kind of at the top of the track map, great overtaking opportunity. If you can get it done down the start-finish line, as I mentioned, you want to get it done before turn 1. Otherwise, you're both going to get eaten alive going through that. It looks like you can go too wide, but it tightens up very early through turn 1, and that's what catches a lot of people out. They don't realize the amount of understeer you can actually get through the corner. So it's, I think tonight, you know, we normally talk about how many safety cars we're going to get. Hour-long race, I reckon we're going to see at least 3 safety cars out there tonight.
I'm going to go conservative this time, because I've been over the bat, so I'm going to go for 2, I think.
Okay.
Mate, did you see the number of cars coming out of the pit lane there? I think we've got 40 cars out on track tonight, and then a couple more if we include our race controllers, who do an awesome job for the series here. But there is a lot of cars out there tonight. Maybe 2 is a bit too conservative for me as well, but as I said, I've been over exaggerating the safety cars, so I'm going to think these guys, our race, they're going to take it a bit easier. ease their way into things, not be too concerned about those big bold moves early on. Though, then again, if you're not going to send it, why are you here?
Well, that's exactly right, mate. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see which are the ones who are going to send it, if it's going to be the faster guys, or maybe if it's going to be the guys who are actually going to try and gain anything they can around this track. It can be difficult to pass around here, but there are sections where it is actually very easy to pass around here. You just have to have the confidence to do it and push to do it as well.
As per usual, we'll see that usual divide. The pros and the pointy end of pro guys, they are just able to carry that much more speed into the corners, have more confidence, able to dance the car on that edge of that grip. And, again, we see time and time again, us average Joes try to do the same thing, and we lose the rear. We're not able to catch it in time. So, again, qualifying, push as hard as you can. But when it comes to the race, we'll have to see how these guys go, if they, maybe drive a little bit within themselves. Tyres may be an option tonight, buddy. I know every time I predicted a swath of tyre changes by the boys, they balked that strategy by not doing it at all. So very much it's, the time in the pits, extra time in the pits taken to change the tyres. But it's not just that, it's the next lap or two where you're on cold tyres, going to warm it back up again. And a lot of the guys just prefer, they get into a rhythm on the same tyres, and we'll stay with that. Oh, big moment there. I didn't see who that was.
Yeah, I think it was right behind Scott Pocock. It was Bruce White, actually, I believe it might have been.
Okay.
Off the exit.
Just got a little bit loose there. Starting to push hard on that. They've done their sort of that one out lap now, maybe on their second lap at the moment. So I think we'll still see the times tumble down a little bit more once the tyres get up to temp. It usually takes 3 or 4 laps. But I suppose the one advantage these guys have got tonight, buddy, is they can run this qualifying right to the end. As long as you get across the line before the 15 minutes, you can finish that lap. Unlike the sprint rounds where it cuts straight off.
So, I mean, we're already into the 15s here in qualifying. I expect, though, the top end of town should get into the 13s. I mean, that's what we saw in practice. So I think maybe an average for the top half of the field, maybe into the 14s, and then those real upper echelon drivers into the 13s as well. As Bellac already goes into the 14s on his second lap there, but Gallo pips him by 0.3 of a second. And the 14s are just flying at us right now, Cowy, and I don't think it will be long until we see a 13.
Well, as you said, look, a couple of laps, it just takes a couple of laps before you can really start to push hard and trust that the grip's there. Remember, these are a downforce car, a high downforce car. You drive them differently. You've got to sort of put the load on the car in the corner and trust that the air is going to work for you. And, until the tyres are up to temp, you just can't do that. It's super dangerous. So, these guys taking a couple of laps to get those tyres into the window where they can start the push, and now you're going to see those times tumble.
Well, I mean, we know how close they can get. There's already guys within, thousands of each other, and I think it's only going to get tighter and tighter across the whole field. I mean, you can already see on the timing tower, the top 20 cars are within the 15s. So, it's only going to get closer and closer throughout the rest of the session.
Well, generally it stays orange, that timing tower, when you're looking indoors between the guys. But no, it's awesome to see, and such a big field tonight. It's going to be more important to get yourself up as far up the grid as you can. As you said, once you get sort of through the first corner, it's all single file for the next section until it opens out in that middle back straight. So, and you can see here, already Vela getting caught up a little bit there. The hand driver was entitled to continue his lap, so that's pretty polite of him getting out of the way there for Phil, because they wasn't on an out lap. But that's the speed difference we can see sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, he just has this flow about him no matter where we go, and he's able just to follow so closely. I mean, we saw how close he got to the back of the amateur ahead of him there. And again, as you mentioned, just let him go. He knew he was faster. But I mean, you know, Belak, Malloy, Karajar, current top 3. Don't be surprised though if we see Vela jump to the top on a lap very, very shortly, because he can just find pace out of a car super easily when he wants to.
Move, and he seems to be one of those guys that's able to just, you know, push himself that little bit more. And we've seen time and time again him try to set the fastest lap of the race on the last lap of the race. You know, so, you know, the one lap where you think that if you've got the lead, you would take it nice and easy and just make sure you bring home the W, but he pushes for a fastest lap. And here's a new pro, looks a bit different with PRO in front of his name instead of AM. But Dylan De Bono, after a spectacular round 1, oh, he's come out in front of a car there too, so we'll have to see what happens there with race control. But he had a spectacular round 1, come away with the round 1 honours with 2 P2s in the sprint format. Straight up into the pros, he leads the season at the moment. At the moment, hasn't put down a qualifying lap, so to see how he goes here. But it's Michael Karajar leading Caleb Belak at the moment by 4/100ths of a second. No. Yep, 4/100ths of a second. That's right. That's great.
So, no, it's actually less than his lead.
It's 1/100. Yeah, there you go. It's 1.
By 0.011. Although Malloy gets 1/1000th of a second closer to, like, he is literally like the exact same lap time. I was not informed that Bono was running to pro class. And I can change that now in between the
No, you've got him. He's pro to Bono now, though.
Yep,
his name. So he's made the change, I think, in SDK. So
yeah, but I'm going to change his class in the driver list. So that'll get done at the end of the qualifying session. Or actually, you know what? It's going to be best I do it now, so we actually have an opportunity to go through it properly. So it just means we're going to lose the timing tower for when I actually reset.
just keeping an eye out there. Doug Gowan's a pretty good run so far. He's got himself up into P7 at the moment with a 1:14.58. So the best time out there at the moment is a 1:14.31. As said, Sean Malloy 1/1000th of a second behind Michael Joy there. That's crazy. Caleb Belak a further 100th of a second back. Dave Gallo a further 500ths of a second back. Sorry, 600ths of a second back. There you go. That's crazy.
Malloy's just on top of the tower with a 14.2. So these times are actually closer and closer, Cowan, to the 13s. What can Bono do when he crosses the line off that lap? It's not going to be the best lap, a 15.3. So maybe a little bit of time to gain for him. But of course, that was only his first lap. So we'll have to see what he can do when those tyres warm up a little bit.
That's it. At the moment, our leading AM driver is that Adam Simpson in P10 at the moment. So the Fishy Motorsports machine, the Piranha, proudly on the back of that machine. We hassled him for a while before they finally put that on there. But he's doing a good job at the moment. P10, I mean, 40-something cars out here, buddy. So I think we might see a few pros that will find themselves well down the order if they don't get their qualifying right.
That's right. Greg Johnson, Kevin Wakefield, the only two drivers yet to set a lap time here tonight. Also, I noticed a returning name out there tonight, Cowy. Dan Bartosh is back out in the field as well. Missed round 1. I don't think he was here. I don't actually know. This might actually be his first season of F3s, because remember he did the TCRs 2 seasons ago. And I don't recall him doing F3s last season. So I think he may actually be new to the F3 series, but not new to SRW.
The more the merrier. I know that, you know, basically all of our seasons filled up before round 1. There's obviously a few drivers that signed up maybe that couldn't make it round 1. But, you know, it's a big field out there tonight. I did see someone else say that they were going to struggle to make it. I think it was Scotty Barton saying he didn't think he was going to make it because he had a chest infection. But you're saying his name's in there, so maybe he's feeling a bit better.
No, Scotty Barton's That was Dan Bartish that I was talking
Dan
about. 'Cause Dan
Bartish,
is-
sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Scotty Barton. Yeah, so he said he's got a chest infection, so he won't be here tonight. So I did see that a bit earlier. But yeah,
Also,
look, lots of names out there, and still a couple of guys yet to put laps down. Oh, you've got your name. Oh no, that's Mitchell Mullis signed in as well. One of my teammates.
Yeah, he's in the race
Oh,
control
he's in
room.
race control. He's in race control. That's right. He's
Yeah.
newest addition to race control there. Is it Kevin Wakefield that hasn't put a lap in yet? Greg Johnson as well,
Yeah.
sitting in the pits.
And DeBono goes top, Cowy, 14.157.
Oh. Well, it's almost going to take a 13 to pip him, but you said that it would take a lap or two just to get those tyres up. He's done that, and now he's pushing hard. Jay Dixon into P3 as well, with a 14.297. Michael Carterjar's 14.310. Phil Vella back in P7 at the moment, so just struggling to get that. Well, I shouldn't say that. Struggling to get that out and out pace when the difference between first and seventh is maybe a tenth.
Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely nothing in it. I'm just having to quickly restart the other live timing because I knew as soon as I changed anything to do with driver details, it would have a little hissy fit on me. So we can quickly fix that.
All right,
I've got it down pat now on how to fix it. It's no longer a freak out because I've actually realized how to fix it. It's literally just close and reopen the timing software. And then
we've lost some of the earlier extra sectors there, but again, these guys still filtering around. The guys out on track, they're going to get at least another lap, maybe another 2 laps. DeBono maybe 2 attempts here. And again, like this is a fixed setup series, so these guys will be looking to, burn off that fuel to be put in faster times a bit later as well.
I have to wonder actually.
But
if
it's
those
close at the
13s, it is very close at the top, Cowy. I have to wonder actually if the 13s that were set in practice were actually towed times, so where they actually had the slipstream down the straight just to gain a couple of extra tenths.
What's one of the things you're seeing? Are we seeing any guys out there really trying to use that tow? Because I think, again, if you're seeing the disparity in speeds between you catch up to them in the tow and then you get held up by them. So, I mean, I was expecting maybe to see a few teammates trying to work together. There's a couple of the Downforce boys together on track, working there.
Well, I think this might be the final chase for some of these drivers. DeBono is going to get one more lap in, so they're going to have to hope that their final lap is going to be good enough here, because this will now be the final lap in qualifying for some of these drivers. As long as they start it before the 15 minutes is up, they can finish it in a regular hour-long race weekend. The sprint rounds and the super sprint rounds, it's once the 15 minutes are done, that's when everything's done. So they do actually get the grace period here tonight, Cowy, as we mentioned, but we'll have to see how some of these drivers do. Let's just see maybe what Jay Dixon could do as he comes down to the FD section at the bottom of the hill. He'll be able to, oh, he's just not close enough to start another lap.
Nah, that's right. These two guys will not get to start a new lap, so their qualifying is done. They will get to finish the current lap that they're on.
Phil Vella has pipped DeBono for pole at the moment. He's gone 0.029 faster than him on that last lap. DeBono, though, coming down towards the FD section. What can he do around these final couple of corners? This is going to be the last chance for him to get pole position. That might be a dirty at the end of qualifying for him.
He went hard at it.
Oh, he did.
Look
he was
at that.
pushing hard.
Look at that timing tower, buddy. The first decimal, there's not anything but a 0 until you get down to like 23rd.
It is
like,
absolutely crazy.
So
insane.
Effectively, looking at those times there, and yeah, we've got to go down to 23 third before there's a second between first. And, so the top 23 cars are all within a second of the leader. That is some pretty impressive stuff.
If you look at all of the times, Cowy, you have to go all the way down to P35 for the next first decimal placed difference.
That's right.
Like, it is insanely close. So
That's hundreds separating positions, and I believe there's a thousandths there. Sam Catacasinos is 1/1000th behind Matty Gerard.
Who is it was 9,000ths behind Chris.
Oh, Chris Swalling, that's right.
It's insane.
That is crazy, boys. It's an awesome show you boys are putting on out there. Shannons Formula 3 National, it's awesome to have them on board, but more importantly, just awesome to have such close racing from all these drivers.
That's right. So we'll quickly just show our qualifying results, and then we'll bring up our starting grid for this race. Nicely for us, they've extended the grid times now to 3 minutes, so we can actually run through the entire grid before the actual race starts tonight, Cowy. So let's quickly bring it up here. So starting out on pole, only around about 300ths of a second in front of P2 is Downforce Racing's Phil Vella. Then we got Dylan DeBono, newly promoted pro driver from Velocity SimLab, starting out of P2. Caleb Bellac will start at a P3. His teammate just in behind with Sean Malloy, Downforce Racing's P4. So the first two rows are filled with Downforce and Velocity drivers. P5 will then go to Michael Cuttajar here tonight, with Jay Dixon starting out of P6. David Gallo will then start in along behind them for Kittens Racing out of P7. Dylan Little, our top rated amateur driver out there for qualifying, will start at a P8 for Whiskey Runners Racing, with Brett Del Santo starting at a P9. Doug Gowans will then start just inside the top 10 there for Velocity SimLab, with Scott Pokop lining up in behind him in P11. Daniel Byrne will then start at a P12 here tonight, just ahead of Cobalt Racing's Dwayne Burns in P13. We then have Adam Simpson for Fishy Motorsport starting at a P14, and Adrian Loretti starting at a P15 for Kittens Racing. Cowy, you want to run them through the rest of the grid?
We've got Shane Bowen from Cobalt Racing for P16. Chris Swaddling, Red Rocket Racing. He's down a bit further than he normally would be, Chris, there. But he's only 6/10 of the leader, and he's in 17th. That's crazy stuff. Matty Gerard for Velocity Sinlows in P18. Sam Catacasinos for Team Bushfink Racing. Bushfink, yeah. Okay, said that right, hopefully. I got a praise from Sam last week that I said his name actually right. Darren Fay for Kittens in P20. Cam Hardwick for Velocity Sim Labs P21. Daniel Fritz for Whiskey Runners Racing P22. Peter Seidler, Pork Hunt Motorsport. Nathan Gardner P24. We've got Bruce White and Dan Bartush P25, 26.
Campbell
Masterson, that's it. I haven't got your name up there on. You got a surname up there in P27. Michael Carew for P28. Callan Hodgkinson and Mark Cochran sharing row 15 of the grid. Andrew Light and Mitch McIntyre. Stephen Brooks, Nathan Verney for Locked On Banter Alliance. Matt Tessio, Brad Hudson for row 18 for JWME Motorsports, sorry. And Danny Matisic, Tyler Sheaf, row 19. Wow. Lots and lots of cars, buddy. And we're about to go green. It is round 2 of the Shannons Formula 3 Nationals here at Road Atlanta. And they are away. Looks like everyone's got away cleanly there. Phil Vella moving to block DeBono immediately as they come into T1. I think that is Caleb Bellac up the inside there, and he's run wide. Tried to carry a bit too much speed through T1, buddy. We spoke about that before. Very easy to do, and it's cold tyres too.
Oh, mate, extremely cold tyres for him there, and as I mentioned, easy to get off on the exit at turn number 1. He's back on the road now, though, going nice and clean as we come up through 5. And these guys just looking to get into a rhythm. Remember, hour-long race, so they need to be careful here tonight to not push too hard and get out of the action early. Bruce White has gone off the track. We will get a replay of it once the first lap is completed. We'll run through the incidents as they happen here off the first lap.
Caleb down 6, buddy, so that cost him, but it could have cost him a lot more too, so did pretty well to get back on board. And we've got the cars all slowing down, so safety car has been called already. So I think maybe now is time to have a look and see what happened to Bruce, and I think Peter Seidler had a moment there as well.
Let's quickly get it up on screen. So
You might have to wait for right.
Let's quickly get it up.
Oh,
So
here we go.
the first one was Dan Bartish. Yeah, you can
Oh,
already
so
see there was
someone's running
contact
to
in
the rear
behind.
of someone, and then contact right off the grid at the start. So
And
Dan
that's what
Bartosh
would've,
caught up in that.
Yep, that's what would have started all the flickering, was because of the contact while all the cars were nice and close. Bruce White then as well went off track. This looks like it's going to be up at turn 5. Oh, there looked to be some contact there off the edge in the Brawn livery. Keeps it out of the wall nicely.
He might have dodged some contact there, I think. Though that wing a little bit bent in, maybe that side flat. Adamantium's Pit of Despair, thanks for your comment out there, buddy. The raffle is still going, mate. We haven't hit the 1,000 subscribers yet, so the rig is up and running. Let's go Gardner from Aaron Hawkins. Awesome. Great to have your support there, buddy. Nathan running in P30 at the moment, so he's lost a few spots. He might got caught up at the start there as well, but I called 2 safety cars, buddy, and there's been one, inside the first 20 seconds.
Yeah.
I think I could be in trouble tonight.
I mean, at that sort of rate, I think we're both in trouble, Cowy. I mean, yeah, I mean, it was only not even one corner before we had an incident tonight. I mean, we lasted a bit longer than that last week, but I think we lasted, 3 or 4 corners last week. We have not yet lasted the first lap without a safety car this season. So it just shows you the kind of carnage on offer.
Well, that's it. It was Danny Matisich, Brad Hudson, Tyler Sheaf, Greg Johnston, all caught up in that by the looks of it. Peter Seidler, I think he is still in the pit at the moment, so he's just towed. So, yeah, I suppose these guys were likely to get a chance to get that lap back, but you don't really want to be going a lap down at the start of the race.
Well, I guess the best time to go down is the first lap or so, because if we're getting a safety car within 2 minutes, I think we're likely going to get another one and they'll get the lap back. But of course, you want to be able to get the lap back as soon as possible so you can kind of then take advantage of anything else that happens later in the race. As I'm just having a couple of dropouts here. I don't know why. Let me just check to see my CPU usage right now. Just so I know.
Well, we get to take a breath, so hopefully your PC can do the same as well, buddy. But as always, guys, if you are enjoying the content out there and you haven't done already, please give us a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. As Adamantium pointed out, we do have a raffle for an awesome rig out there. As soon as we hit the 1,000 subscribers, one of our lucky subscribers will be the winner of that rig. So, jump on board, give yourself a chance. But big thanks to our sponsors, of course, our naming sponsor, Shannons. It's awesome to have their name on board, and the banner looks awesome on the screen. Also great to have our other sponsors, Grim Industries, Tempting Sweets, Rare Spares, Warren and Brown, Racecraft, which also qualify the fastest lap, which will be Phil Vella from qualifying, taking out that tonight. Simrigs, of course, their support, and we welcome back DSL Welding Services. Had their support several seasons ago, and it's awesome to have them back as well.
As well as
buddy.
Racecraft Simulations as well, Cowy. And then
I missed Racecraft, did I?
Yeah, I think so. There's also a new sponsor. I'm actually waiting for it to come up on the little slideshow that goes on in the corner, so I know the exact name of it. I know I probably should have a list, but I didn't think of that.
Well,
I'm going to be honest.
These boys here didn't really get a chance to get much temp into those tyres. You can see a few people weaving there in the back.
Yep,
Safety car is accelerating away from the field, so has handed control back into Phil Vella's hands. He's got Dylan DeBono behind him, so Sean Malloy P3 and Jay Dixon P4. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any team games here in this restart. I'm sure Phil is going to let his DFR teammates know when he's going to go. So be interesting to see if they're able to catch Dylan out here.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan is a switched-on operator, as we know, Cowy. I don't think it will take a lot for him to get caught out. Vela is either going to hold him until the last corner, or he's going to go on the exit of the Formula D section just here. I think
He's
he
going.
may go.
He's
gone
gone
now.
straight away.
So he's
Yep,
gone
straight
on
away.
the
He's
entry.
gone.
Yep. That was
And
probably the
Dylan didn't do
smartest
too
spot.
bad there,
Yeah.
but his teammates got caught out a little bit there. So that's maybe Phil wasn't on the radio to them.
I think that was probably the smartest spot he could have done at Cowy. The easiest section to kind of get the power down. Yeah, and, you can just kind of flow through the corner nicely, get a good exit, and then start your lap again. So, but now we get to go racing once again, and hopefully we don't get a safety car straight away.
Well, at the moment, the field all single file. All right, contact from Bruce White has been given a black flag for contact lap 1, so that must have been contact where you said there before, buddy. When he tried to go wide. So unfortunately, a black flag for Bruce there, and that's going to put him, well down the field, and he'll be hoping for a safety car as well to give him a chance to get back in it.
Remembering it is still a long race, Cowy. We already saw how many cars were involved. Lap 1 incident, so there could still be a chance for Bruce if we get a bit of carnage happening. Also, big thank you to our newest sponsor of the series, Neuropower. That was the sponsor that I was waiting to see on that little slideshow. It finally came up. So big thank you to them for joining as support for the series as well. Much appreciated. And, well, now we can actually start to go racing once again, Cowy. We have now survived a couple of laps under green, which is very, very good to see. So Vela currently leading overall, leading the pros, and then we got Little leading the amateurs still. But as we mentioned, it's a long race to go, and DeBono's not letting Vela run away too quickly.
Yeah, so our big movers at the moment in the negative direction. Caleb Bellac was down 6 spots. He's gained 1 of them back now. So down 5 spots with that little mistake into T1. The biggest loser at the moment, it looks like it's probably Cam Hardwick, who's down 19 spots. Peter Zeidler down 16 spots. Those boys right at the back of the field now. Nathan Gardner was down a few, but looks he's down 18 spots as well, Nathan Gardner, so that's hurting as well. Oh no, who's that? That's looped it there.
That was Dan Bartish. Dan Bartish off track. So we've seen what he can do in front-wheel drive machinery, Cowy, front-wheel drive, front engine. But these F3s are a completely different beast. I mean, we used to have the old double delight going on Wednesday nights where we got to see both the cars in action. Now it's just the F3s, and well, Dan's still just trying to acclimatise to these cars and how they drive differently to the old bread box PCR cars. Yeah,
cold tyres as well, buddy. And again, I mean, it's just you got to be so ginger for those first couple of laps generally, just to get the tyres up to temperature. The big movers in the positive direction. Andrew Lydon up 9 spots in 22nd position, so really struggled in qualifying, but has recovered nicely to be knocking on the door of the top 20. Inside the top 20, we're really looking at, Jay Dixon, who is up 3 spots, David Gallo up 3 spots, Brett Del Santo up 2 spots, Daniel Byrne up 3 spots into P9, Adam Simpson up 2 into P12. So there are a few big movers well down the pack, like Greg Johnson is up 10. And we've got a replay here. Is this what happened to Pete Zeidler?
So look, it's at turn 5, the corner I told you about, Cowy. He was lucky. He was. That was a questionable rejoin, though. That could be a penalty for him. That's just caused an absolute cataclysmic event behind with, I believe it was a couple of drivers there. Kevin Wakefield, Matisic, Bartish there missing the front of his car, as Stephen Brooks has also had a crash now, as well as Daniel Byrne and Brett Del Santo have actually gone off track. So we can see Brooks here. He was just trying to get back to the track here. If we just quickly have a look at Brett Del Santo, Daniel Byrne. These guys are up the front of the field. Up through one. What's that? Oh, and he's just lost it. He's just kind of misweighted, and that was almost perfect pirouettes there by both of them, almost like synchronized into the wall. So everyone out there having some incidents right now, Cowy, and getting into the wall.
Well, we did say at the start of the broadcast we thought we might see some calmer heads out here. It's an hour race. Boys can take the time to get themselves into the race. Nah, or just send it. And in the end, the sender is what's happening. Look at this. Phil Vella coming into the pits. So already this may have just changed this from a two-stopper to a one-stopper now with a couple of safety cars. And Phil Vella taking advantage. 8 laps in. Interesting strategy, do you think?
It's a very early time to stop, I would say.
I wonder if he's going to take tyres here too. Does the car go
know.
up? No, it's just fuel.
Yep, this is
Car hasn't gone up, it's just fuel. So, okay. So Phil may be playing a little bit of an alternate strategy here. We'll see where that brings him out, but I'm thinking he's going to be fairly deep. P8 by the looks of that.
Bartish should actually be led around the safety car by now because he wasn't actually the leader, so he should have been let go already. He's been held up a little bit there, but he is now back on the lead lap after that incident. Cowy, we're already at the second safety car, and we're only 12.5 minutes in. Are you kind of clutching at straws right now, kind of just hoping that we won't have any more?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous because, as I said, I was expecting some calmer heads tonight, and the boys are here to race. So, I mean, no one goes out there trying to hit each other. It's all just pushing so hard, and we just see it time and time again that, safety cars breed safety cars. When you've got cold tyres and F3s and you're racing for position, then that's when it's so easy to, push just that little bit too hard and loop it round. And unfortunately, if you do that near another car, the likelihood is that they're not going to have much of a chance to react to it.
That's right. Big thank you goes out as well to our race controllers, Mitchell Muller, Greg Barber, and our safety car driver, Tyson McAvoy. Without them, we wouldn't have race control out there tonight, Cowy. So it's good that they're giving up their time to keep these F3s in check. And I tell you what, they've already got their work cut out for them tonight from what we've already seen. So hopefully,
well, I'd say that. I'd say, well, Mitch is still pretty new to the RC boards here at SRW, but with 40-something cars out on track, I'm not surprised that RC have drafted in a reserve race controller just to try and see if they can stay on top of everything, because lots of cars, lots of opportunities for incidents, and commentators that seem to get the safety car call wrong each week.
I think we've only ever gotten it right once each. I don't even think it's been any more than that, but as David Gallo now comes into the pits as well.
Oh, that's an unusual pit there, because that's going to put him well down the order now that the field's backed up. Look, David Gallo was running in about P5 or P6. P7 I think he was running. And it's going to put him right to the back of the field. So interesting. As he maybe seen that one more stop's going to get him home, and he thinks it's worth the effort.
Or maybe he knows something we don't, Cowy.
Well, I'm thinking Phil Vella. He's the one that made the call before, so he's read it and worked it out. But maybe he needs a bit of save, or he needs another safety car to make sure of it. Whereas going that extra lap. But then again, that extra lap was under the safety car. So, look, we'll have to see if Gallo can make something of that setup. But I think he missed a trick. Because once you're in the train and everyone's bunched up, if you pit then, you go into the back of the train.
Yeah, unless everyone comes in, while they're bunched up, you really have no benefit from coming in then. The benefits come when you get that safety car call and you come in before you're actually bunched up in the train. So it's definitely very interesting. Now, I think...
Well, I'd say he's picked up that maybe he can make it home with one more stop from here. But the difference is that Phil Vella has read that as well, and he made the call before the safety car bunched everyone up. So, he's back in P7, so it only cost him 6 spots to make that call. Whereas Gallo,
what the
he's
thought
down
might
28.
be, what the thought might be, Cowy, is if they actually top up with a bit of fuel now, it actually means they can take shorter stops later in the race. So they'll actually make up the time in their pit stops
Yeah,
over
but
these guys
I
who
don't
have not.
I don't think that's worth 28 positions, though.
Probably not.
So,
And
I'm
actually,
thinking
his
that
pit stop is not counted, so I actually think he's actually gotten a penalty. I think it was actually a drive-through.
Was there a
Cowy.
drive-through? Was there a drive-through?
I think it might have been because he has not
Well, no,
actually stopped.
but he did that. No, he's dropped out. He's had packet loss. So I'm thinking he's had connection issues, and he's brought it into the pits to retire it.
It's still classifying him on track. So he hasn't actually gone into the pit. So I'd say you're right on that one. I'd say he's actually
I've seen it
dropped out.
upload packet loss come up. That's unfortunate for David because he was having a great run. He was right in the mix. Certainly the lead kitten out there. And he's had to retract those claws. That's awful. Or they've been retracted for him.
So there are a couple of drivers a lap down on the leaders at the moment. Cam Hardwick, Stephen Brooks and Mitch McIntyre. All of those guys have all come in multiple times, so they've been involved in multiple accidents so far. Mark Cochran into the pits, as well as Brett Del Santo. So I wonder what their thought process is on that one, Cowy, coming in now. I mean, maybe they think, they're close
all
to
I can think is that some of these guys are realising that they can make it home with one more stop.
Maybe.
Instead of having to pit twice. Right, we are at about 18 minutes into the race. Now, talking with the drivers beforehand, they said the fuel burn around here is about 1.1 a lap. They've got 20.5 litres in the car. So you're talking about 18 laps for a stint. Now, that takes about 22 minutes, thereabouts. So you think of it, we're 18 laps in now and you can do 2 more 22 stints. These guys that have pitted are going to get home on one more stop. So I reckon they've worked it out. It's just Phil Vella worked that out before the safety car bunched everyone up. And I think there's a couple other guys that have realised it also and have gone, well, we'll take the pain because we're still bunched up, So it's going to give us a chance to not lose as much time as the rest of the field if they've got a pit under green.
Well, we have now got the safety car pulling away, Cowy. Phil Vella will be wishing that we do not see another safety car. If we see another safety car in the next few minutes, then he will be in absolute tears because his advantage will go away just like that, because these top guys will all come in if we get another safety car in the next couple of minutes. If we don't get a safety car before the first pit stop, his advantage is then worked because he's going to gain so much time on them in the pits. He's had the free pit stop. DeBono, Malloy, Dixon, Cuttajar, Bellac, Little, all have not come in. So they don't have the advantage.
Pit and he'll be in front of them. So I think that, these guys are going to be able to go about another 8 to 10 minutes because we've probably done, 5 or 6 minutes under the safety car.
Yeah.
All right.
DeBono holding them all up over the hill. It looks like he's gone now at the crest.
Yep. He just got a note from race control saying he was blinking there, so I think he maybe just went straight away.
As we come up through one. He was blinking a little bit, Cowy, so hopefully his connection can hold true.
He has had issues from internet from time to time. I know it's cost him a couple of races in the TCRs a few seasons back. But again, we just know what iRacing could be like when you come down, the main grandstand area. And then, add to that 45 cars out on track. So it's going to take any PC. And, glad to see yours is going all right, buddy. The feed looks good.
Yeah, it's had a couple of issues. I think I might need to adjust how my graphics are on iRacing just to perfect it a little bit. I did bump them back up after the other night, back to where they were, just to see how it would run. But I think, I need to just run slightly lower graphics on there until I can eventually afford a new CPU a better CPU, in fact. But as we come up
Oh,
through
look
the
who's that
F3
making a move
section,
up the inside, and that's Phil Vella making a move up the inside of a little, I think. Yep. Saw that
Right.
in the background there. Nice move down into the big heavy braking zone. One of the things, this is a great track for these cars. It's got such a variety of corners. You know, from those sort of windy chicanes, fast-flowing corners to heavy braking zones. I think it really tests the drivers. And this corner here, totally blind when you turn it in. So,
oh, that was super close from Vella. He needs a bit of a tear off at the moment, actually, but we saw him. He jumped he went over the hump there and it just slid the car right out to the left-hander. He is pushing hard right now to catch these leaders. Look at the speed he was carrying through 5.
and the front of the car just so light. He was just dancing it. Look at that. The rear starting to go on him, and he's just, you can see that rear starting to step out, and he's just controlled it. Little, almost a sort of half correction there to counter steer, but just got on the gas perfectly. So a man on a mission, and at the moment the fuel strategy, you know, maybe up his sleeve, having pitted under the safety car.
He has got phenomenal car control in that F3 car. I mean, he was almost drifting it round turn 9, and I mean, he is a man on a mission. But the leader at the moment, Dylan De Bono, newest pro driver in the series. He only took him 1 race to get promoted, Cowy. I mean, that's got to be some sort of a
Malloy with a
record.
run. Sean Malloy with a good run on him there, but again, not able to get close enough.
I mean, this track here, especially these sets of corners, it looks like you can go too wide, but because of the tightness of the bends, that's what makes it a one-line run. Because even though the track is wide enough for 2 cars, the angle of the corner does not allow 2 cars to go side by side and stay gripped up to make the corner.
That's right. Yeah, get offline in these things. We saw what happened to Caleb Bellick at T1 when he got offline. Well, okay, we've got a bit of a moment here, have we?
Yep, Mark Cochran down into the Formula D section. He was getting dived down the inside, and then he's left him room and then just rotated it. Oh, and then big contact. I mean, he did the right thing. He held his brakes. That was not his fault there for that contact. The other driver should have been a little bit smarter, I think, about, you know, he saw him spin around and then he just kind of went for the inside line, but Mark did well just to hold his brakes. Very unlucky there to cop that, and now he's forced into the pits for his second pit stop of the race.
Well, so we are seeing, who was that came in? Did you say someone came into the pits there? No?
It would have been Cochran. Cochran came in after the incident. So let's just have a look quickly how we're going in terms of classes. So Little, Simpson, and Gerard currently
I was going to mention. Yeah, I was going to mention Adam Simpson. He's up 6 spots at the moment, so he's definitely on the move here. And Sean Malloy now. Oh, we have another safety car. So Peter Zeidler entry to the chicane. Something's happened. So is that Peter Zeidler who's been involved in something there, buddy?
I believe it may have been Hodgkinson and Sheaf.
Hodgkinson, oh no.
So Hodgkinson rolling without a rear wing. He's got Tyler Sheaf just ahead of him, loses it into the corner. And then,
trying to get it back home. Maybe didn't even realise he was missing a rear wing.
Yeah. So you're already out of it, Cowy, but it's going to be interesting now to see.
And you're on wood. Yeah,
and,
you're on wood, buddy, so I don't think you're looking any better than me.
So
Alright, so here you go.
in.
We're going to see these guys come in and take that first bit now. So
Malloy
DeBono
stays
in.
out, as well as Dixon.
That's interesting.
A very interesting decision. But what this has now done is, this is now actually going to affect Vella's plan, because he's not actually going to have as big of a gap, obviously, over DeBono.
Oh,
he's still going to have a reasonable gap.
It's worked good for him. I think it's still worked good for him. It'd be interesting to see how someone, like I think David Gallows got caught up a lap down with his issues, but who else made the early pit stop there?
Well, there were a couple of drivers. Daniel Byrne, who's now actually ahead of DeBono. Bartish obviously came in on lap 6. A couple other drivers as well, but
Byrne hasn't pitted, I don't think.
He has. Daniel Byrne pitted on lap 7.
Did
So
he?
he actually had
It's
the
not
same
showing it
thought
in the
as,
timing
as
tower.
Vela.
Yeah.
So he had the same thoughts as Phil Vela did on that first stop. But yeah, surprisingly, Malloy and
Can't see it up
Dixon
in the
have
timing
stayed out.
tower though.
If I bring
So-
it up, although it may not actually tell us. If I do this,
So I've got Vela and then De Bono as the first of the pitters, and then Caleb, Bellac, Tyler, Adam Simpson, he's pitted, Dan Bartosh. So I've got about 10 drivers that haven't pitted so far. Sean Malloy, Jay Dixon, Michael Carter-Judd, Dylan Little, Scott Pocock, Darren Fahey, Chris Swadling, Nathan Burney, Michael Carew, Andrew Lydon, Matt Tessio, Brad Hudson, and Daniel Byrne, and Tyler Sheaf, all as not having pitted.
so currently on the timing tail graphic on the broadcast, it
Okay.
has Byrne pitting lap 7.
7.
So
Okay.
it'll be interesting to see if he does need to pit again. But yeah, pretty much apart from Vela, that everyone in the top 13 has not pitted except for Phil Vela. So he's at a massive advantage right now.
DeBono, Bellac, Simpson, several drivers taking advantage of pitting on that third safety car there. So perhaps more safety cars in the win. I mean, the other thing is too, you might see some of these guys have had to pit with a bit of damage. You know, if they've taken a bit too much curb, it is easy to damage the cars and need to use up that fast repair.
Well, we are just under halfway through this race, Cowy. We've probably lost. Well, if we stay at this current rate, we're going to make 32 laps. So if we're at this current rate, we're actually going to lose probably about 18 laps worth of racing here tonight.
Well, I mean, each of these safety car interventions are costing maybe 5 or 6 minutes. So we've probably only had about 12 or 15 minutes of actual running, and the rest has been slow behind the safety car. So, but Road Atlanta is a roller coaster of a track, and the F3s, you could just that sort of half a lap we're on board with Phil Vela just showed how much the car was skating around. Safety car is going to pull in pretty quick, so what they will try to do is when we end up with a few safety cars like this, you don't want to keep them bunched up for too long. So
No, that's right. You want to be able to let them spread out. Otherwise, we're going to get more and more safety cars. Maybe, do you think now that we're halfway through this race, Cowy, do we want to reevaluate our predictions?
well, the question is there going to be another 2 or 3 safety cars?
I think we're going to get 2 more, if I'm honest.
You're going to get 2 more?
Yeah.
You did hint at the start, maybe you should have went with your gut at the start because you thought it was going to be a bit of a safety car fest tonight. The promo department safety car looking pretty good out there. But the safety car is pulling away. Control will be handed back to Sean Malloy. And at the moment, it is Downforce Racing, Sean Malloy and Jay Dixon, P1 and 2, with Michael Cuttajar, last season's bridesmaid, in P3, and then Phil Vela, Downforce Racing. So I know Michael got fairly used to being in a Downforce Racing sandwich last season, but it was normally with Phil in front of him and these other few DFR guys behind him. It's the other way at the moment, but the big talking point is that Phil Vela's already pitted, and we think he's probably going to be able to get home or one more stop. The question is, have enough safety cars come out of the game now for these guys here to get home in one stop? Remember what we said, about 22 minutes or so.
Well, Cowy, there is now the thought that I've just thought this as well.
8 minutes.
We're halfway through this race. There are some people who've not actually pit yet.
Well, look,
Do
that's
they
what I'm
think
thinking.
they can do
These
it on
guys are
one
saying,
stop?
if they can get another 8 minutes, even maybe another 7 minutes out of this stint before they need to pit, then they can probably get home in one stop as well. The difference is they may be fuel saving, where Phil Vela won't have that problem at all. But at the moment, it looks like Sean Malloy's pushing hard. I can't see any fuel saving here. Perhaps thinking, another safety car takes another 3 or 4 minutes out of it, then they only need to do another 2 or 3 laps to be in that window to get home.
Well, knowing that we've only got probably 25 minutes left before we're guaranteed no more safety cars, you know, do you think that's maybe in the back of these drivers' mind? Because in that scenario where there's only one more stop that is needed, that then suddenly pushes the pressure on Phil Vella to fuel save because he pitted on lap 7, right? And he can only get 18 laps out of the
It's not going to be a zero stop. It's not going to be a zero stopper. These guys, you know, look, we're on lap 18 now. We know that it was about 18 laps you could get out of a tank, right? So the question is, have these guys saved another 3 or 4 laps of fuel behind the safety car? Because if they can get to that 37, 38 minute mark in the race, then they've definitely got to the window of being able to one stop and get home. Now, if they only get to 26 minutes, then does that mean they need to save to get that window home? So it's turned into an interesting strategy race. I mean, at the start we thought it was really going to be about setting up that second pit stop to make the smallest fill that you needed, whereas now very much starting to open out into the guys that maybe thought about strategy. Phil Vella jumping on that first safety car, Dylan DeBono jumping on the second one. You know, is it going to mean that those guys can push hard at the end of the race if these guys can one stop?
Well, my thought process is, so I'm not suggesting that they're going to do it without pit stopping. My suggestion is the top 11 cars, excluding Phil Vella, have not pit yet, right? And as you've been saying, if they can make it to 38 minutes, then they'll actually be able to do it on one stop. What I'm saying is the pressure will be on Phil Vella because he will need to pit again. Like, there is no doubt that he should need to pit again because he pitted lap 7. So, you know, it's going to be a very interesting scenario that we have at our hands for the final, you know, 20
Something
or
has happened to Michael Carter there because, well, I think we missed maybe Phil getting around Michael there because he's now back in P4 and it is Downforce Racing 1, 2, 3.
Let's just see here if we can get a replay of it, if it, you know, for how it happened. I'm just scrolling on through just to see. Oh yeah, here we go. So this is how it happened. It was off the onto the back straight. And it looks like he's just done it in the actual
Just
toe.
got it in the toe. Yep, got it in the toe and able to get it done in the big heavy braking zone. You see already he's gone to the outside.
Yeah, there's not much that Michael could do about that.
Well, it's one of these things that this is a corner where if you get a, you know, make a move, if you can get it done around the outside, so you can see there Michael just relinquished that straight away. He didn't even try to fight it into the braking zone. But that's one where if you get up the inside down to the braking zone, you're on the outside for the next corner. So it can be one where you want to try and pass them. You want them to move to the left to defend. Oh no, big moment there. Who was that? That was Cochran, I think, that's gone around, and we've had Bruce contact. White. Is Bruce White's had a moment as well, has he?
That was him who hit him. So
oh no.
Yeah, so Mark went round. Mark went round, and then Bruce had nowhere to go. Mitch McIntyre's also had an incident too. Let's just have a look here. He's coming up through 1. Does he get a bit of a tank slapper through 2, 3 maybe, and this what happens? Oh, yep, exactly what's happened.
Just lost the rear, off that curb. It's just bounced around on him a little bit.
Yeah. So, but
and again, that's that risk versus reward we talk about again. You've got to trust the downforce, but
exactly.
You know, the curb can just unsettle the car. You can see that these guys, they're not completely avoiding the curbs. There's places where you use it and places where you don't.
So the real question is now, Cowy, is how long do these DFR boys go before they have to hit? Bella's already up in the P2 past Dixon.
It's only 3 more minutes for them to hit this window. So 2 laps, buddy, and they're at that window. So yeah, that is interesting. So Phil Vella going early, but it was that second safety or that third safety car that's maybe taken enough time out of it to open up a one-stopper for the rest of the field. So that is interesting. We thought the 10 people, the 10 or 11 that didn't pit might have been a bit strange, but they may have played the master stroke.
Yeah, it could be an absolute master stroke. And a wild moment for Cam Harwood coming through the FD section. Dylan DeBono in qualifying esque there. Did not lose the front end, but that car will be licking its wounds and he's going to have to come into the pits, of course, once again in this race. But very, very easy to lose it there, just on the gas, out in the dirt. And just pushing that a little bit too hard, Cowy.
But there's a fair bit going on around that P9, P10 position as well. I'm just seeing Nathan Burney passing Caleb, Daniel Byrne making moves, Michael Carew making moves. So, like, this battle in here has been red hot for a couple of laps still, and De Bono at the front of it as well. And as... Okay, so it is Little and Swaddling coming into the pits now, so there may be one lap early on that window we were talking about, buddy, so we'll have to see how they fare.
Maybe they're expecting another safety car, Cowy, as well as Tessiero coming in as well.
I think the issue you're going to have now is that a few of these guys have already used their fast repair, so if they get involved in another incident, we might see some retirees, and already I think... we've got a few guys that have been in the pits for a little length of time, I think, so... But Sean Malloy, he's got that gap out to 2.1 seconds, so he's outside the tow. Dixon and Vella have swapped positions. I wouldn't necessarily say that was a team swap there, because we just know that Phil's on the pace. Colourjar's dropped back. He's about 4 seconds behind Malloy here.
I would say what it is maybe Jay is a little bit worse off on fuel than what Sean is, and maybe Phil's actually giving him the tow just to help him save just that little bit of fuel.
Yeah, possible too, buddy, yeah.
As Colourjar, Fahey, Pocock and Verney all come into the pits. This will now promote Bellac and De Bono up into P4 and 5. Remembering, these guys are provisional P2 and 3 at the moment. And depending on Phil Vella's fuel situation, it could even be a 1-2 situation right now. Those guys can get home. They came in lap 14. And if we continue the way that we are, Cowy, they may not even need to pit again in this race if we get more safety cars. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. Knowing, though, that Sean Malloy can get home now if he comes into the pits, as well as Jay Dixon.
Yeah, so about 8 laps to Bono, and that would have to find, what's 38 minutes? Yeah, so they'd need to find 7 or 8 laps. That's pretty hard to save that sort of amount, I would think. So yeah, it's really going to come down to a safety car for those guys. But then again, they're going to be putting in a lot less fuel than some of the other guys too. So that'll be beneficial as well, as we see Sean Malloy come in to pit as well. And I would be surprised, I was going to say, keep an eye out and see if any of the other guys that are yet to pit come in as well.
So they were the only 2 who had not actually pit at that point.
Right.
They were the only 2 drivers to have not come in. The drivers now that we need to look at and think about, well, they will likely need to come in again at this stage, even with safety cars, is Phil Vella, Daniel Byrne. They both came in on lap 7. Dan Bartish, who came in on lap 6. And then Brett Del Santo, who came in on lap 9. So those are the drivers now who are kind of at the cusp of needing to pit again. They will definitely need to pit again to get home without safety cars. And then the ones that we need to think about is Bellac and De Bono. They may not, if we get safety cars, they may not actually need to come in to get home. But Vella, I would suspect, definitely does.
Caleb Bellac, with a masterful strategy at the moment, has sort of made up for that mistake at T1 on lap 1 and back into P2 and putting himself right in contention. So, interesting. So, Vella has about 11 seconds on Caleb at the moment. That's not going to be enough to cover a stop, even if he's only got a little splash.
It's about 31 to 33 seconds for the pit lane travel time, so Vella needs to build up about a 30-second gap back to P2 if he wants to control this, as Byrne has had to come in. So Daniel Byrne, the other driver to come in lap 7, has had to come in.
Yeah, I didn't think Daniel Byrne had pitted. I was saying he hadn't pitted, buddy, so that's what I thought. So he's managed to get an extra lap further than anyone else.
As Bartish and Gardner have also come in. So the eyes now are going to be on Vella, who will likely need to pit again. Belak and De Bono are up in the air, being they came in on lap 14. Now, their strategy is now dependent on safety cars. We've got about 20 minutes left. That'll be roughly 17 or 16 laps, Cowy. And they're already 9 laps into their stint, although majority of those were under safety car. As we've had an incident here for Matthew Gerard on the back straight, it appeared, no, coming up towards the double right-hander as he's just disappeared off my screen. Oh, come on, show me the replay. Don't tell me it's not there. Let's just quickly see here if we can actually get it and keep it stabilized. No, it's not actually going to show it. That's a shame.
Yeah, having some connection issues. Sometimes it make it a bit harder for the Hamish's PC to keep up with things. All right. Well, let's go back to some live action, and we're having a look at another replay, are we?
No, we're not. We're live. We're back on Phil Vella.
Okay.
As Cam Hardwick's had an incident, actually. Let's just see if the old PC will decide to let me see it. It's at the double right-hander. He's come round. I'm thinking this is going to be a bit of a tank slapper, maybe. And that's exactly
and Dylan
what it
Little
is.
has been penalised for contact on lap 23, so drive-through penalty. He was our lead AM driver at the time, so that's pretty unfortunate there.
That's now going to drop him back down the order a fair bit. We can see him here, P17 now, so I'd say he has already committed to the penalty and has now come back out on track. But that's a shame for him. But again, you got to learn from those mistakes and learn from the penalties that you're given, because it is a tough game out there, Cowy.
Oh, look, I mean, it's easy to make a mistake, and unfortunately, when your mistake catches someone else out in it, then likely race control is going to come down and give you a bit of a smack on the back of the wrist with a black flag. It's just, it is what happens, I suppose. But again, I mean, there's no intent. Boys are racing hard, and sometimes you make mistakes. There's a great shot with the cars coming over the hill there as well. But at the moment, it is Phil Vella. He's got about a 13-second gap over Caleb Belak in P2. But Phil will need to pit. The question is, can Caleb Belak, Dylan De Bono, and about 10 or 15 other, I think I should close to 20 other drivers, can they get home from here?
What that Dylan Little penalty also did, it actually promoted Adam Simpson up to P1 in the amateur class now. We'll just quickly see how our amateurs look. So it also now put Matthew Gerard P2 and then Fritzy up into P3 for the class. Currently for the pros, it is Vella, Belak and De Bono. But we do, as Vella has had to come in, Cowy.
Yep.
So Vella is in.
Big call. Do you want to just try and change the camera here, buddy? I think I'm stuck on a replay at the moment.
Let's have a look. I'm on TV too. I'm on Caleb Belak at the moment, as he has now gone up into P1, De Bono into P2. Where will Vella come out? He's been passed by Brett Del Santo, who will likely need to pit again. Is he going to come out ahead of Simpson? No, he's not. So Simpson will jump Vella on the exit. He may also lose out to Doug Gowans here. I think he has. And that is an immense effort for Gowans to get ahead of Vella there. And now Vella has to fight back against these drivers who may not need to pit again in this race. So it's going to be a fight back for him now to the finish.
Going to be a decisive, again, Doug's racing hard. When did Doug pit? He pitted on lap 14 as well.
Yep.
So again, another one of those guys that maybe needs another SC to get home. But we'll see how that plays out. I'm just going to reboot my iRacing, I think, buddy. For some reason, everything I've frozen on one camera.
That is that's totally fine, Cowy. We can keep the conversation rolling for the moment. So Belak leads them on to lap 29. We're 45 minutes into this race, ladies and gentlemen. 15 minutes to go. It's 10 minutes until we are getting no more safety cars. Ironically, this is actually now the longest period of time we've been green in this race. We're currently at 3, so I'm looking pretty good at the moment for the bet. Can we get to follow from car for a lap? So you want to actually follow a car for a lap? We will follow a car for a lap. We'll wait for Caleb Belak, our leader, to come around, and then we'll go on board with him for a lap. And we'll see what he does. Let's just quickly see what he needs to tear off as well, but it's not too bad. So we'll follow Belak around for a lap when he actually crosses the line once again. So you watch him come down the back straight now through 10A and 10B, down towards turn 11 and 12 into the Formula D section. So it won't be too long before he starts lap number 30 here tonight. Remembering it's a time limit race, so we do not have set laps. It's however long it takes them. It's however many laps they do in the hour. But Belak is now going to come down onto the main straightaway, start this lap. We're going to go on board with him here for a lap. We'll let you listen to what he does. Well, what a wild lap that was there for Caleb Belak. Let's just quickly check out the replay here. Dan Bartosh, Dylan Little have both have incidents here. So he's coming up to turn 5 is Bartosh. Catches a heap of curb, loses the rear end, and it's exactly what I mentioned could happen at that corner earlier in the cast. Just a wild moment off the exit there. And let's check out what's happened to Dylan Little here up at the double right-hander. As he comes through the corners, I'm thinking a tank slapper it is. He turned in that little bit too early. Very smart play from him there. Campbell Masterson has also had an incident. If we bring that up on screen too. So again, same corners that we've seen a couple of drivers have incidents at. The Downforce Racing driver. And it's, again, just a big tank slapper through there. It's not going to be good for the tyres.
They really are.
Well, that's true. That
really
is true. That's true, Cowy. So, but lap 32 now, 49 minutes into this thing, Cowy, and it's getting a bit hairy, a little bit questionable of what this fuel might look like here for the top two. Vela is now back into P3, but he is 11 seconds behind them.
Look, yeah, starting to run out of time for another safety car to be called, so that, you know, will mean that they, you know, I can't see him saving, what, at least maybe three laps. It's pretty hard when the burn's at 1.1. You know, if they save, it's going to be minuscule amounts.
I think the best scenario right now is DeBono, who's P2. He has the tow on Belak, so he's actually able to sit in the slipstream and save that little bit of fuel within the slipstream. So maybe he's actually better off than what P1 is at the moment.
Oh, for a moment, then I thought everything had fixed itself with my iRacing and SDK buddy, but at the moment, I'm going to have to follow your lead.
No worries at all, Cowy. It's all good. So 10 minutes to go now, ladies and gentlemen, lap 33 of this race. So these drivers, Cowy, they came in on lap 14. Now, we know they can get 18 laps out of a stint, but they've been under 2 safety cars since they came in. So we could maybe surmise that they might have saved 2 or 3 laps under safety car for fuel if they were clutching in. So, you know, if 18 laps from lap 14 is lap 32, so they're actually going overtime right now. It's lap 33, so they may need to come in without another safety car at the moment. I mean, that's what it's looking like.
Look, these guys will run it right to the death and make that call as as late as they possibly can in case a safety car comes out. But it is looking more and more like they're going to maybe be 2 or 3 laps short.
So if we quickly
Unfortunately,
look at...
buddy, I've got to keep watching the replay. I'm having issues here with my feed at my end.
Oh, actually, I've completely missed this, actually. I've just noticed it. Dylan De Bono has come in for a second stop, as well as Bellac. So they were not able to make it, Cowy. So this now will put Phil Vella back into P1 in this race. So they needed another safety car, and they did not get it. Well, this
It is one of those things. I mean, anytime, I know that for me, anytime I needed a safety car, I couldn't get one, and when I didn't need them, they'd come up. So sometimes, you need a bit of luck for those things to work out that way, and this time, not.
No.
Unfortunately for those two boys.
Yeah, so
that's right.
So De Bono, Bellac, De Bono, Gowans, Burns, Simpson, and Catagazinos have all had to come in for a second stop. What this has now done is, Cowy, it's now created a DFR 1, 2, 3 of Vella, Malloy, and Dixon here off the back of that, knowing that Malloy and Dixon don't need a pit again in this race. So those guys were the smart cookies out there. They came in, they stayed out nice and long, expected another safety car, and it has really paid off nicely for them. If De Bono had waited and actually stayed out with them, I think he would be in a much better position right now.
Something's happened to Phil Vella. He's tumbling down the order, buddy.
He's still there, mate.
Something
He's still there. He's still there.
He's still there, isn't he?
Yeah, he's on screen.
Okay, so it's my SDK deciding to play.
Yeah, it's playing tricks on you.
Where is he at the moment?
P1 at the moment, Cowy. 8.1 seconds ahead of Malloy in P2. So he's not rolling on down. Unless, maybe, are you a psychic, Cowy? Maybe you're looking into the future. Phil Vella's future, possibly.
Well, if I am, it's SDK giving me a glimpse. But I'll keep an eye out on some butterfly effect. But at the moment, yeah, buddy, don't know if I'm going to be much help for you for the rest of this because I can't follow the action. But that's all right. You guys out there in YouTube land, you're getting the best seat in the house.
Well, Vella leading Malloy, Dixon, Cuttajar, De Bono, Bellac, Fahey, Pocock, Del Santo, Swadling. That is the top 10. The top 10 is, as Michael Cuttajar has just dropped a couple of spots. What has he done? He's had a bit of an off at turn 5, but he is still going again. But that has cost him quite a few spots, Cowy. Adam Simpson has also had an incident.
There's a bent up wing, I think, there too.
Yep. Oh, that's a big moment there for Simpson.
Oh, no. I'm back live and I can see things, so maybe my PC just taking a while to load up and refresh because I can see all the action again now.
That's very good.
I was getting a bit lonely there, buddy.
Well, I mean, it's coming at the dying embers of this race, Cowy. I mean, we've got about 6 minutes to go in this one. Lap 36. I think we're going to get around about just under 40 laps in this one.
With De Bono right on the back of Bellac at the moment. Check that battle out, buddy. They are neck and neck at the moment.
What this will do is as well, so if obviously De Bono really needed to finish in the top 3 tonight to stay ahead of Vella in the championship, I think what will happen now is Vella will actually take over the lead of this championship if he wins tonight. And obviously if he beats De Bono out by enough positions, being that it is a 2-point difference for positions, if I'm correct on that one, Cowy? Or is it 3 points?
With a normal round, this is... I think it's 5 or 6 points. For a normal round. It's a bit different from the sprint rounds, which are normally, I think, 4 and 5 points per position.
Yeah.
So, it's still early on, and he's gone wide, pushing hard. I saw he got a bit of grass, I think, on the corner before. And that's compromised him now, because it's going to give Fahey a run down the straight on him as well. And you can see already Bellac getting that gap out to over a second, just because of one tiny little mistake.
Yeah, just pushing that little bit too hard, and that knowledge will come in time.
Background. So that's Scott Pocock making a move up the inside of Michael Cuttajar. So he's made a nice move there as well.
Rocketing his way ahead of Cuttajar into P7.
I tell you what, Michael, in the past, Michael has been fairly rough on his tyres, so we've seen him struggle from time to time in the longer format races with tyres at the end there, and at the moment, you could see maybe just a bit more cautious through some of the faster corners there.
Yeah, quite possibly. He did come in on lap 22, so these are 15-lap-old tyres, although not all those 15 laps were...
Looking at those pit times, I don't think anyone took tyres.
Yeah.
There's a few guys there that have got 19, 13 second pits times, so I think a few have taken tyres. Caleb Bellac, he's got a 19-second stop. 13 for Dylan DeBono, 19 for Grandpa Doug Gowans, 11 for Matty Gerard. Looking at the rest of the times, where was the average time? About 4 or 5 seconds, or was it a bit more?
Yeah, it was around about 4 or 5 seconds if we bring it up here, so we can see the majority of the second stops were just fuel, being that they were about 4 to 5 seconds. But it could have been quite possible these guys took tyres on the first stop.
Yeah, I think there's a few guys there that have taken tyres. But it's sort of one of those things that, 60-minute race is probably just long enough to bring tyre deg into the equation. But then you got to work out whether or not it's worth the extra 14 or 15 seconds in the pit that it takes to do the tyres.
Also, Cowy, we are now within 5 minutes of the end, and we've only had 3 safety cars.
So, you're saying something. I can't remember what you said. You said something at the start of this broadcast that I'd seem to have slipped my mind.
Yeah, someone's gotten this bang on here tonight.
You certainly have, buddy. I tell you what, when we were looking at 3 safety cars in the first 15 minutes, though, it didn't look real rosy then, did it?
I will not disagree with you on that one, Cowy. I was a little bit worried, I will be honest. It's Darren Fahey's had an incident as well. Let me just quickly bring it up so we can see it here. He's come down into the double right-hander.
He's just gone deep, and
I think he's going to turn in too early on this corner, and he
yeah,
has.
He's just lost the rear, trying to carry a little bit extra speed through the corner there.
But Phil Vella leads the way at the moment, Cowy. I mean, that's probably the couple of words that we've said the most in our time together here in F3s.
Well, it's sort of one of those things. That early pit stop that he did really sort of was, I think it was an early visionary. I mean, we saw that the guys that pitted the second time, they were relying on another safety car for it to work out. Whereas Phil knew when he pitted back then, he only had one more stop to get home. And he's done it in a way that it meant that he still would have made it on one more stop if there hadn't have been that third safety car. So, I think so far strategy-wise, mate, he made the right call at the right time, took advantage of it, and, again, if you can get that pit stop done before the field bunches up, you can really make a difference. And that is white flag being waved there by Barney. So this will be the last lap of tonight's race, mate. An hour racing. Geez, it goes quick, especially at a roller coaster like Road Atlanta.
Oh, it does. It just absolutely flies by. Lap 40 here tonight. We did say prior to the race, Cowy, we thought maybe 40 or 45 laps. But yeah, I think we were bang on with the prediction before we actually started the broadcast and thinking it might be that amount. But yeah, 30 seconds left on the time. Fella's going to finish the lap probably right just after an hour clicks over. And I mean, it's just been another display of some really, really great driving from some of these drivers here tonight. Some really intense battles happening. And for the first time in a while, Cowy, we actually have no amateurs in the top 10. The first amateur is Matthew Gerard back in P15.
Given such a long race, I think it gives the pros a bit more sort of time to work their way through the field. But I think, the surprising, well, not so much surprising thing, but, we saw 23, 24 cars within a second of qualifying. But now as we get to the end of this race, there's about 16 cars that are a lap down. So, circumstance, few incidents, has created that situation. But, even looking at it here, I mean, we've still got a couple of nice battles. I think round P10, there's some great battles. But it's Phil Vella that has come home with the goods once again, with and Sean Malloy, Jay Dixon behind him, buddy. So it's a DFR 1-2-3 once again.
Yep, we haven't seen that since probably midway through season 3 of this year. Belak actually, if there was a couple more laps in it, he could have actually caught up to Dixon a lot closer. He finished about 7.5 tenths of a second in behind. And then De Bono comes home P5. So DFR top 3 once again. It's been a little while since we've had that though. Our regular player of Michael Cartajano, he's having a bit of an off start to this season, Cowy. I mean, didn't really have such a hot start out at round 1, and then this week he's kind of back down in P9 at the moment. So we could be in for a bit of an interesting season, you know, some new challenges kind of pushing him out of the way in terms of him being able to make a challenge on the top of the timing tower.
It is a close field at the front there. The DFR boys, they've come to play and race hard, you know, and then we've seen, you know, Dylan's right in the hunt, but, you know, when you've got 3 or 4 of another team around you, it can make it really hard, because, you know, not that they're trying to box you in, but they've got that option where they can sort of play strategy and really sort of, you know, maybe force your hand or hold you up a little bit. But again, you know, to have 3 guys in the same team that are all got blistering pace, you'll be happy with that too. Well, there it is. There is the results for tonight's race, guys. It will be Phil Vella for Downforce Racing, leading home his teammates Sean Malloy and Jay Dixon. Caleb Bellac, after a big moment in lap 1 T1, he recovered awesome to bring home P4 just off the podium. And as Hamish said, maybe with a couple more laps, he might have been battling hard because I think he had fresh rubber there at the end. Dylan De Bono backing up his 2 P2 finishes last week with a top 5 this week, so may lose top spot in the championship, but he's not going to be very far from the fight. Scott Pocock with a great battle there as well, finishing home in P6, up 5 spots, starting just outside the top 10, so a great result there from Scott. Brett Del Santo from Cobalt Racing, well, he's another that took that second safety car gamble, was hoping for another one. Third safety car it was, but he was hoping for another one to help get home, but just had to pit there at the end. But again, a good strategy there gets him a top 10 finish in P7. Darren Fahey, the lead Kittens racing machine, with a good result. Unfortunately, David Gallo having that big dropout early on that dropped him out of contention. So that's a great result from Darren. Michael Carnajar back in P9, maybe just struggling on old tyres near the end of that race. And Chris Squadling for Red Rocket Racing, rounding out your top 10. Now it looks like we've got a couple of the DFR boys in the green room, buddy. We're going to wait to see if Sean joins as well, and we'll just drag all 3 of them down together.
Yeah, I think so. And maybe also we might wait to see if we actually get some amateurs in here, quite possibly. We can quickly just run through the rest of the results, though. Sean is in there now as well. So Nathan Verney out of P11 for Locked On Banter Alliance Racing. Doug Gowans, unfortunately, he had to pit again, but he comes home out of P12 for Velocity Sim Labs. Daniel Byrne, the second highest finished Kittens Racing car, there at a P13 with Dwayne Burns from Cobalt Racing at a P14 in behind him. Matthew Gerard, of course, P1 for the amateurs, P15 overall for Velocity Sim Labs against 2 Kittens out of Adrian Loretti and Andrew Lydon out of P16 and 17. Daniel Fritz then will get P2 for the amateurs here tonight for Whiskey Runners Racing, finishing P18 overall, with Nathan Gardner not too far behind him for P3 in the amateurs, P20 overall. Shane Bowen will then finish at a P20 here tonight for Cobalt Racing, just ahead of Michael Carew at a P21 for Pork Hunt Motorsport. We then have David Gallo, out of P22 for Kittens Racing, just ahead of Brad Hudson there for P23 here tonight from JWME Motorsport. Pete Ziedler will then finish at a P24, just ahead of Matt Tessiera at a P25, with Tyler Sheaf coming home at a P26 for Velocity SimLab. Dylan Little will then finish at a P27 for Whiskey Runners Racing, just ahead of Campbell Masterson at a P28, with Greg Johnston coming home at a P29. Cam Hardwick will then make up the top 30 for us here tonight for Velocity SimLab. just ahead of Adam Simpson for Fishy Motorsports at a P31. Dan Bartish there on debut for the F3s will finish at a P32, with Sam Catacasinos finishing at a P33 here tonight. Danny Matisic, Callan Hodgkinson, Kevin Wakefield, Mitch McIntyre, Bruce White, Mark Cochran, Stephen Brooks will make up the rest of the order here tonight. David Gallo did actually get back out there, Cowy, but unfortunately he was a bit far down the order at the end of it.
Yeah, I think most of those guys there, 30th out, were all our non-finishers there. I've spoken to Race Control Buddy. We will just have the pros podium here tonight. I think as far as it goes, normally we wait till the end of round 3 before they do the final classification for the AM drivers. So generally we don't grab the podium in before then. So that means we've got 3 DFR guys to come down and have a chat to, buddy. I'm going to drag all 3 of them in together here.
About that, Tyson.
DFR boys, well, I've left Tyson behind in the green room, boys. You guys are chatting to Cowy and Hamish here in the broadcast, buddy. DFR 1, 2, 3. It's been a while, boys.
Yeah,
Been too long.
feels good.
Now, Phil, that initial pit on lap 8, you were the first to click that could get you home with one more stop, buddy. Were you surprised no one else sort of jumped in at the time? I think a couple other guys jumped in afterwards, but the field had bunched up by then.
Yeah, I don't know if the one stop was on tonight. And you know, we had a few safety cars, so I was kind of down to, I think, 14 or 13 litres, and the take's restricted to 20.5. So I just, safety car is the most efficient time to pit. So I just thought I'll take a bit of a punt. I was pretty far ahead as well, so I came back out in 7th or 8th. So it wasn't too.
Well,
too punishing.
the crucial thing is you were able to react to it straight away and go in before the safety car bunched everyone up. Now, the guys that pitted on that 3rd safety car, were you worried about them, or did you think that they needed another safety car to get home?
I actually thought that I was good for like a 6th to 10th type result. It wasn't until I had those kind of last 10 or 15 laps where people just kept pitting and pitting and pitting, that I kind of realised that maybe no one's pulling off the one stop, and maybe that was the kind of optimal strategy. Actually, Jay, how many times did you pit?
Well, I was just about to ask Jay and Sean that, because they were 2 of the guys that stayed out there right until the end. Did you
just
guys
the one.
see the sniff?
I said to
Once
Phil
that
when he
was on?
pitted. I said to Phil when he pitted that could have been a big brain move. But you never know. As Phil said, he was rolling the dice a little bit.
Okay, so you thought that the one stopper was on, and you guys waited till that 3rd safety car, and it come out right at the right time.
I think
know
I
you guys
pitted under
after it.
race pace.
No, you pitted on a race. I apologise.
We pitted
Those
on the
guys
green.
that pitted, that was probably another 2 or 3 laps early. So, but
Yeah, that was all the guys that pitted with 5 laps to go at the end there.
But was that the thing when you didn't go in on the first safety car that Phil went in on, and then by the time the second one comes out, you knew the window wasn't quite there. So was that when it clicked to you that you think you could one stop it and get home?
Yeah, I thought Phil's was a little bit early, but he had an advantage because he was in P1, so he could dash off ahead and get in and try and come out as quickly as possible. But I sort of was like, no, I'll stay out. But you don't know how many safety cars there are going to be. It's a complete, it's a crapshoot.
Now we were contemplating. Oh, sorry, you go, Hamish. I
was just going to say. I mean, it was a complete gamble, but racing's always a complete gamble. You roll the dice on your strategy play, and it worked for all 3 of you tonight. Even though 1 out of 3 had a 2 stop, and the other 2 had a 1 stop, and I mean, you had DeBono and Ballack, right up behind you there for a long time, but you've managed to kind of pull the chocolates away from them in the end.
Yeah, props to those 2 for fighting amongst themselves and giving me a bit of breathing room.
Now we jumped on board and watched a couple of guys, going around here. How was this place to drive? I mean, it's a fun track. I like it in the supercar. But in an F3, there's curbs of death and blind corners and big sweeping. We could see there that those fast sort of corners, you're dancing right on the edge of grip. Did it feel like that for the whole hour, boys?
Yeah, pretty much. It's a fun track to drive. It's a bit dicey with a big field like we had tonight, and it's a bit rough getting past people at times. But no, it's such a lovely track to drive. It's really good to race.
It felt great to me because the last time I raced here was in another league series, and I had accidentally bound the push to talk on my steering wheel to dial my brake bias back. So every time I pushed to talk, my bias was going back, and I couldn't work out why the car was so unstable. So today it felt great.
Well, rookie mistakes like that aren't going to help you get a podium here. But boys, you talked about the size of the field. There's like 40 cars out there. In qualifying, we saw you guys. I think you, Sean, you and Jay seemed to be working together, but Phil was off doing his own thing during quali. He didn't even need a tow.
Yeah, well, Michael Cuttajar gave me a bit of a help around the track, and then I think Jay was behind me. I was trying to give him a bit of a tow, or maybe I'm remembering that incorrectly. Michael definitely helped me around.
I know that the times are super close there, as they usually are. I think we said it was 23rd was a second behind. So
there were some blistering times in the practice beforehand. Like both Dylan, Mike, and Jay. I think they were all like 13.7s, 13.8s, which is just like I don't know where you find that. That must be really on the edge. But yeah, I find it a little bit easier sometimes without the draft because of the front end push and the loss of downforce. Because if you lose on the exit of some of the turns here, it can actually be really punishing. Like if you don't get the rotation in mid corner. So that's why I kind of just tried to make my own space and do it. And also, apologies to Mick Carew, who I cleaned up in qualifying as well. I had a bit of an unforced error there.
now, Sean and Jay, you boys were sort of more in that tow. So were you sort of the same mind? It was quite hard to get the car to turn in, sort of in that aero.
Yeah,
that aero wash.
The tow wasn't super helpful like it is at somewhere like Road America. Here it wasn't great.
Yeah, it was definitely like on a one lap quali. The only reason you wanted a tow was for the back straight, but you didn't want to be following them through the first couple of sectors. It was a bit painful if you were stuck behind them through the twisty bits.
Now, did you guys contemplate tyres?
No.
Never. I don't think we've ever changed tyres in a SRW race, have we?
I have, and it was punishing, and I won't do it again. So I changed tyres at Hockenheim.
Oh,
and,
that was an accident. That was an accidental tyre swap, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I still remember it. I still remember Jay just hovering in my mirrors until he drove past me. So no, it's not worth the cooling cycle.
And they weren't terrible at the end of that race.
No. 60 minutes are fine in the F3, unless the track's super hot. Like if you're a 50-degree track, 60 minutes, you might be struggling at the end, but you still wouldn't take tyres, I would think.
I agree with that. I think there are a few lower speed corners where if you spin the tyres up coming out of those, you're just putting heat in that doesn't kind of soak off during the lap. I think if you can treat them nicely, you get kind of a nice wear profile for the whole 60 minutes.
Awesome. Well, Hamish, you got any further questions for the boys before we ask them to let us know who's given all their support?
Yeah, I think, obviously Road Atlanta can be such a tough circuit, but it can also be such a rewarding circuit. I mean, have you guys had any prior practice to this week? Obviously, maybe doing the Petit Le Mans this past weekend, or kind of a double-ended question. Then, did you do the Petit Le Mans this past weekend, and then also where does this kind of rank in terms of sports car circuits in the US for you compared to maybe like a Road America and maybe like a Daytona Roval or something like that?
Definitely higher up than Daytona Roval.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably one of my favorite US tracks. I'd love to actually go there for real. This is my first. This was I jumped in the rig and did some practice tonight. I haven't been driven anything for I think 4 weeks. I think when we were at Road America in the Shadow Series or something, I think that was the last time I drove anything.
Well,
Well,
I
boys,
think they did an incredible job, didn't they, Cowy? I mean, it was probably midway through last season. I think we last had a DFR 1-2-3, if I'm correct.
Well, look, I look. It's one of those things. I mean, do you guys enjoy the longer races where strategy can sort of playing it? You got to roll the dice a little bit. I know
100%.
Phil,
Yeah.
you rolled it nice and early, just get you thinking. And you know, I think another safety car tonight may well have seen Dylan DeBono and Caleb, you know, pip you guys. So I suppose sometimes you got to roll the dice to let it go, but they seem to be fun races, man, when you get to talk about and think about it.
Yeah, it's been good to see a bunch of the new folk join. Like the track is awesome. I think it's more suited to kind of GT cars. But you know what I do want to say is like it's been awesome to see some new joiners to the league and see the pace that they've brought with them as well. Like for Caleb and Dylan, they're 4th and 5th. I think that's an awesome result given that some of us are kind of 2-3 seasons in. So I think it's good in that regard. I like the longer race where strategy matters, but the safety car does kind of break that rhythm up a little bit. So you don't really. I think the good thing about that is you're not really sure where you are in the race, and it just kind of plays out for you, which I find pretty exciting versus just a 20-minute sprint where you're just flat the whole time.
Well, once again, Downforce Racing, we've got all three of you in the podium here. Jay Dixon, P3, Sean Malloy, P2, Phil Vella, P1. Who wants to let us know about all your supporters out there? Of course, if you want to pipe in with any extra ones, boys, go for it. But who wants to take it away?
That's Phil's job.
I'd like to thank the team at Downforce Racing for all their support, for the exchange of lap times and the like, and just helping us find some speed. Obviously, a big thanks to Sean and Jay and Campbell who've rocked up and put their best in as well. I obviously like to thank yourselves for quite an entertaining stream, and again love to watch that back. I'd also like to thank Tempting Sweets. I'd like to thank the series sponsors. Again, without their inputs and their contribution towards a series like this, it would be pretty hard to get up. So big thank you to Shannons Insurance for picking up sponsorship of the series. I'd like to thank the folk that we race with as well in Discord, the team from Pork Hunt Racing, as well as the Velocity Sim Sports guys. Doug and Co are always great fun to run with. So I'll hand over there, Jay or Sean, if I've missed anyone.
No, Phil's a consummate professional. Only one shout out I'd like to give is to my father-in-law who passed away on the 2nd of October, which is part of the reason why I haven't done any racing. And he had a pretty good run. He died at 90, so on your Des, good man.
Right here, buddy. But as you said, 90 is pretty good innings. So, but. No, glad to have you boys back, and all three of you. Downforce Racing 1, 2, 3. Once again, it's been a while since they've locked out the podium, but back to do it again here for Road Atlanta. So congratulations, boys. And next week, have you put some practice in already?
I don't even own the track.
I don't even know what track it is. What is
It's
it?
Daytona.
Oh no.
You don't own Daytona, Phil.
Oh.
No.
Well,
Actually,
better
hang on.
get
No.
cracking, boys.
Next week is not Daytona. Next week is Circuit of the Americas.
Oh, Coda. Blah. Okay.
Oh yeah, I love Coda.
You love it.
Coda's a great track.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, it will be an F1 round then as well, so that will make it nice and interesting. Bit of sort of double series working there again, boys. But congratulations, Downforce Racing, Jay Dixon, Sean Malloy, and Phil Vella. Well done, boys, and look forward to talking to you again later this season.
Thanks, fellas.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Well, Hamish, it again another one of those nights where it had everything, buddy. You think you've got it all worked out, and then there's a couple of little safety car curve balls, and then we can speculate, with guys that rolled the dice early and maybe late, hoping for the safety car gods to fall their way. So made it quite interesting, buddy, and entertaining.
Yeah, I think, these opening 2 rounds have offered us 2 very different things to enjoy about sim racing. This week was more or less about the safety car carnage, but also about the strategy. And then last week was kind of more just about the on-track action that we saw on hand. But I think that this series, it's only growing. Obviously, last week we had a couple of bit of lower numbers because of Bathurst happening this past weekend. But, 40 drivers in round 2 is an exceptional number, really only rivaling one other series, not even for F3s, but just in general. So, it's fantastic to see so many great numbers out there. They mentioned their amateur teammate Campbell Masterson. I think the next step for DFR is the pro lockout and then Campbell P1 in amateurs.
Oh, God. Well, they're certainly stamping their ownership early on in this series, though. The new contenders, Caleb Bellac, Dylan DeBono, those boys have showed some great pace, and P4 and P5 this week means they still take home a good chunk of points. Same thing for the Red Rocket boys, 2 of them inside the top 10, Scott Pocock, Chris Swaddling, so they're rising the points. And then, as you said, it's those AM drivers we've seen, a bit topsy-turvy there in the AM field. There might be a few guys that are on the cusp of going up from AMs to pro, but they've got one more week before race control will sort all of that out. But it's going to keep it, exciting right the way through, especially if we can keep getting numbers like this, buddy. It is awesome to see that many cars out on track.
Yeah, mate, it's absolutely phenomenal to see so many cars out on track, as you said, and I think it's really, really good for the series, obviously really, really good for the league. It'll be interesting to see the sort of numbers we get over the next 2 days for the GR886s and the IMSA Shadow series as well. I think those numbers were hindered a little bit because of Bathurst last weekend. So it'll be a good read on the series that come up on the Thursday and Friday night, just to kind of tell the kind of commitment that we have to certain race series. But it's been phenomenal. It's been a phenomenal race tonight, and obviously last week as well. Coda next time out could be in for a little bit of carnage. Don't know about a lot of safety cars though, being that the track is kind of really wide and open, and there's not that many walls.
As well, so
Yeah.
and again, it's one of those places where big, heavy loaded corners, those chicanes going down that first sector, easy to make mistakes. And one of the things is the sausage curbs at Kota. They are not just curbs, they're mini mountains. So, and we've seen what happens to F1, F3 cars when they get near curbs. So should be awesome, interesting to watch. But I suppose that means, buddy, we are at the end of tonight's broadcast. Of course, if you are enjoying the content out there, please give us a like and subscribe. Jump on board so that you don't miss out on any of the action here at Sim Racing World TV. Of course, if you want to come in and join our league, jump on board simracingworld.com.au. Go there, you get the links where you can sign up, register, and then the links to our Discord page. I do know that we had pretty much full across the boards for the start of this season, but there are reserve spots, so put your name down, and if guys drop out, then you might get a chance to race this season, or at least be in and around the community for when we kick things off for the next season as well. Well, buddy, on behalf of myself and Hamish here and all of our sponsors out there, it's been an absolute pleasure bringing the F3s at Road Atlanta to you guys here. Thanks to Shannons, our major sponsor, all our other sponsors, thanks you very much to them. But for now, we will say good night. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on SRWtv. To turn one, this is amazing. Up clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert.